It was a mystery that consumed multiple teams for multiple weeks, until our neurologists and pathologists realized that on the section of his brain, there were forms that looked like cysts, which is suspicious for amoeba. And that's how the diagnosis was eventually made of Balamuthia mandrillaris, also known as the brain-eating amoeba. That's actually when I entered the story.
Granulomatous amoebic encephalitis, or GAE, is caused when the brain becomes infected by a free-living amoeba called Balamuthia. It's one of the 3 pathogenic amoeba known to infect humans and cause a devastating brain infection. Fortunately, GAE is relatively rare. However, they have an unusually high mortality rate. Balamuthia, for example, can infect someone when soil is pushed up the nose or through the eye. And from there, the amoeba can travel to the nervous system, primarily the brain. It literally begins to eat its way through the tissue.
By the time I saw him, he'd actually been seen, given a diagnosis, and he'd been started on the 6 medications which, until this year, were standard of care, which includes 2 antifungals, 2 antiparasitics, and 2 antibacterials. It's what has been used successfully on a few survivors, and it's also really toxic. So multiple of these drugs had to be stopped following bone marrow suppression, kidney injury. We were losing drugs to treat him, and the lesions in his brain were starting to enlarge. So I felt we were really running quite short on options, and that I had to think really hard if we were going to try to save his life.
We were trying to figure out what killed her because no one knew. We used metagenomic next-generation sequencing. This is a technique where we sequence all the RNA or DNA from a patient sample, in this case, cerebral spinal fluid. This eliminates the idea that you have to know what you're looking for before you look for it. In other words, you look for everything simultaneously. We discovered that she had Balamuthia. It's a drug called nitroxyline. It's been around for many, many years, mainly sold in Europe and in Asia as a drug to treat urinary tract infections, but it's never been used in amoebic encephalitis before. This drug appears to bind to divalent metals. In this way, its antibacterial activity is thought to happen because it's robbing those organisms of metals that they need for their enzymes. So we published that paper, and like many academics, maybe that was going to be the end of the story.
When I saw that my patient was getting worse, one of my colleagues advised me to look at Joe's paper and to talk to Joe. So he picked up the phone and said, I know a company that makes it.
记得在2021年的9月19号，我们突然收到了一封电邮，是一个叫做 Natasha Spottiswoode 的医生发给我们的，他们向我们请求帮助。原来呢，是他有一位患者得了阿米巴直脑虫的这个感染。我们看到这个电邮以后啊，公司非常重视，我们觉得抢救这位患者是一个我们不可分割的一个义务，所以这个我们公司立即采取了行动。这中间有很多困难，那么在美国的话呢，是需要 FDA 的这个批准的。同时呢，我们还有一个困难就是物流的问题。因为那个时候正好是疫情，疫情期间呢，咱们的这个运邮寄啊都受到了很大的这个破坏。但是我们雅虹呢工作的效率非常高啊，我们向 FDA 呢获得了一个紧急用药的许可，同时呢，我们找到了我们的邮寄快递的供应商，跟他们做了很多的交流，要他们呢配合我们的工作，尽快的把药呢快递进去。这2周不到，我们就把药呢能够寄出去，送到了患者的手上。
Altogether, it took close to a month from request to shipping to getting it into UCSF pharmacy. It is not a trivial process. And I have to say that I was really living on edge and in some state of terror throughout that entire month. After a week, we got a repeat MRI that showed not only improvement, but near resolution of these huge areas of his brain that had been super edematous and swollen and a huge abscess, and it was getting better. We never stopped the other drugs, but I do think that it was nitroxyline, especially given the in vitro data and the fact that he got better when we added it.
It's kind of an amazing tale of science, of how one thing leads to another and you don't really know where it's going to go. We didn't know we'd have fantastic partners in Asieris Pharmaceuticals. They were generous enough to gift us the drug to treat this patient.
及时的给药可以把这个患者呢抢救下来。当我看到我们的药物真实的起效在一个患者，尤其是这样一个小女孩，帮助她战胜了疾病，后面可以成长成一个对社会非常有用的人，眼睛是有一点湿湿的感觉。我们的工作真的是有很重要的意义。
Right now, the CDC on their website is offering nitroxyline for patients with confirmed Balamuthia, acanthamoeba, and/or Naegleria. So clinicians who have a patient who they think may have a brain-eating amoeba disease can call the CDC and ask for a supply of nitroxyline. I think one of the really cool things about this project is that everything comes together in a way that it kind of never does. The idea that I could learn from my patient and from the original patient who passed away and help a girl I've never met, that feels amazing. I am so grateful to have gotten to be a part of their story and that that little child is alive.